We're getting to that time where obviously Christmas is coming down. This is the last thing I have to take down. And I always get a lot of questions about how I take it down. I just throw it down, I just throw it out the door and just hope it lands somewhere. No, I take it down methodically. I really kind of do the opposite of what I do when I put Christmas stuff up. And so I thought I'm gonna lead you through the process. I'm gonna bring you along, welcome, as we take down the Christmas tree. You know, a lot of people always think it has to be so sad, or I get comments all the time like, oh, how can you take it down? You have so much up. And honestly, I think it's part of like that methodical kind of therapeutic process of putting it down and knowing you're gonna be excited in honestly not that long again when you put it back up. So what I do is always start with my outer small things first. So for me, it's kind of the more breakable things that I usually place on the outside of the branches, which, you know, these, look at those beautiful, they're vintage inspired, but they're new. They're beautiful little candle, glass hand-blown candle sticks. But I take things like that down first and like my clip-on mushrooms, because you don't want to be fighting into the tree to take things off when the outside could then fall off. So you kind of want to just work your outside in. So usually it's kind of smallest, and then I start going in. I think Christmas, it's one of those things where yes, if you follow my videos, you may know I love me some Christmas. I love it. I put a lot up, but I put it up early because I love to do these videos on it. And I think it's just always nice once you take it down, you kind of have these empty spaces where you can decide what you want to do again. And part of the love of it for me is I don't get new every year. I get out the things I love every year. I get out the things that I've collected, the new things. And so I want to take care of them and make sure I pack them well, store them well over the year, so I can get them out year after year and enjoy them and know that they're well taken care of, because that's the point. And I like to think that someday I can throw all this on my nieces and nephew and say, okay, now you get it all. All this collection is now yours. Take care of it. So I'm gonna be taking this down. I'm gonna start by taking all the ornaments and putting them on this table behind me, because I think it's nice to put everything together, amass it all, and then kind of go through and decide what is gonna go in what tub, how's it gonna get packed best. You can kind of assess as you see it all. So that's what I'm gonna do, and we'll start putting it away. It's how it works, and it's a good process. After I get all the ornaments off, I kind of go through my garlands. Now, each person's gonna have a different garland. I like to, since mine's a little bit brittle, it's pine cones and a lot of natural pieces and bay on them, I like to put them separately so they don't get tangled up in little bags. And I do that with a lot of my garlands that I put on different trees, because how annoying is it when you go to put up a Christmas tree and all your garland is stuck to each other? I know the problems we live in when we have Christmas decor, but it really does. It keeps it nicer. It keeps it from getting tangled up, because as you can see, this one would get pretty gnarled possibly, depending how you stuffed it all in a big tub or something. So I usually just take this one strand by strand, get a bag for it, and then I use the bags year to year, the same bags, and then I put it down in there, and look how it just kind of contains it. And I think that's a nicer thing to do. Now I'll show you, I have a great way I keep the garland year to year too, so I don't have to take room in the tub, but we'll do that later when we take the tree down. You can see that it just makes it nicer and cleaner. So you have to have coffee. I don't know if you know this, you have to have coffee when you're taking down Christmas so you can take a break and make it feel like a leisure activity so it doesn't feel stressful. I honestly don't think it's stressful to take Christmas down. I just think it's best when you can take your time. So whether it's for me on a Saturday, on a weekend, night, or some time where I don't feel stressed to have to do it. Which my sister with kids, she's always like, okay, no, I wanna do it. I wanna get it done when they're at school and not have the mess. So I get that too. I use smaller tubs. I think smaller tubs as opposed to really large tubs are always gonna be better. Big, huge tubs, you may think, oh great, I can put all my decorations in one tub for a tree. Well, one, you have a lot of weight then that is going on top of the ornaments that could be on the bottom of that tub, and it doesn't delineate them the best. What I like to do is kind of put ornaments together, so maybe one year I'm not gonna use a certain color or certain type of ornament, and I just don't get out that tub. And so that's kind of, to me, a great way to put them away and have smaller tubs. And then you're not carrying down these gigantic tubs, whether you go to the basement like me, or to an attic, to a garage, whatever it is. I put mine, the question I get a lot is, where do I put mine? They go into my basement. I have an old farmhouse basement. It stays dry, which is, well, it stays pretty dry. Every so often, a little bit of water. But I have plastic shelving down there, so everything is off the ground and it goes in tubs and is kind of organized. It's dark down there. No, you're not gonna see the basement. No. So what I do is I use the same bubble wrap year to year. There's no reason in wasting more bubble wrap. I take it out and we start always with the largest ornaments on the bottom of a tub. They can take the most weight, they're the most sturdy, so you can put them on the bottom. This tub obviously is gonna have mostly these blue kind of pine cone ornaments. I got these quite a few years ago and I really just like them. I think the one thing, not that you have to do this, but what we don't realize, or a lot of people don't realize with bubble wrap, the bubbles should face outwards of whatever you're wrapping, not inwards. I know, mind blowing when you find that out. I remember when I found that out, I was shocked. The slick or smooth side is what actually should touch the item you're wrapping. That's what protects it. Really the important part to me is, unless you're traveling across the country and moving things, the bubble wrap isn't as much of a necessity. What it helps is so ornaments don't scratch each other, don't ding each other, don't get their paint all kind of chipped off. I know, that sounds a little bit like anal, but the thing is, when you go and spend money or time on finding things you like, the longer you can keep them nice, the better. I grew up with a family and a mom who you keep it for as long as you can and you take care of it. And so that is still what I do. Because even if there's a year where maybe, ooh, these were the extra light bulbs, I think, from the tree. Even if there's a year where maybe you don't want to use something as much, you may come back to it then in a few years later. And that's kind of how I like to think. So you can see what I try to do is gently put them in the bottom and place them in so they kind of nicely fit. And I think that's the issue, is you don't want to jam them in, which I know sounds annoying because sometimes when you get to the tub, you just want it to be full and you just want to be done. But you want to make sure they have a little bit of wiggle room, because if you're smashing them really tightly and then you keep smashing ornaments on top, and then when you have to put the lid on and maybe slightly push it to clamp it, then put another tub maybe to store it on the basement, all that pressure can eventually break or crack an ornament. And you don't want to do that. You know, it's the little things that really can make a difference. And that's what I like to do. So I'm going to wrap up pretty much all these ornaments. You can see how I like to group them together. The reason I do that is when they're grouped together, when you're putting them away and putting them in tubs like this, if you group them, you don't then forget one and then all at once get to the end and think, oh man, where did I put the rest of those ornaments? Which ultimately always somehow happens. And even this year, I think that happened on a different tree. So I had to go down, look for the tub and kind of put it on top. And I know I will not know it next year, and I will have one ornament that I don't know where it went, and that's just what happens. But when you group them like this and take them down together, you have a better chance of getting them all put together. So that way, year to year, they're all together. It's those little things, you guys, that can just make a big, isn't it fun putting Christmas away together? I feel like we're just having a party. I need more coffee though. Once I get them all packed up, I do have labels on them, and sometimes I have to redo them every year depending how I put it back together. I just use a Brother P-Touch label maker. I find even though it's clear and you can pretty much see what's in here, like at the top I have a whole bunch of mushrooms and you don't see them too well. So now I know when I go downstairs if I'm thinking specifically, because usually when it comes on a year and I'm gonna put out Christmas, I'll start with like one tree and put it up extra early maybe. And I'll only wanna get the things for that tree. And so I'll go down and think, oh, I want this and that. So seeing the labels, it does. One, it just feels better in my head. Labels just feel good, even if I don't need it. Like I label my flower, even though it's clear and it says, see, you can see it's flower, I still label it. Same with this, it's just nice and a way to keep it tidy. And God, this way, if for some reason something would happen to me, people can come in and know exactly what's in a tub. I mean, they'll still be like, man, this is crazy. But besides that, so when we go and we now have the tree, I actually usually try to leave on as much as I can. So these lights I strung on this year, one, look how once you take all the garlands off, how ugly it looks in the sense that you see all this cord and everything is just showing. That's why Garland really does help hide that. But I try to leave these lights on. I did it on another tree I had this year too. So I'll take it down into sections, but keep them kind of together. And how I store my trees is a tree bag. I know I get lots of questions. You can find them literally anywhere. Big box retailers online, you can find them, and they're just called Christmas tree bags. They're for storing a Christmas tree, and you can get them in sizes that fit your tree. So whether you have a 6 to 7 foot tree, 7 to 8, so on and so forth. And then what I love about them is you kind of fold up a tree like all trees are anymore, and you can just fit them in here. You take them apart so they fit easier. And then I will even fit in some of the extras like my bags of garland, because there's usually dead space around the tree that they'll fit, which I'll show you. And then I happen to have an extra high ceiling in my garage. Why? I don't know, but it's like 12 to 15 foot. So I put big hooks up on the ceiling in like a joist or a rafter, and then I hang these bags from these. So they're just out there hanging way up above my head. It's just a great place to put them. But you can put these in a basement, in a closet. You can stand them upright if you want, because they're kind of sturdy. So I'm gonna work at taking the tree apart, putting it in here. I'm not gonna put you through the pain of watching that because it's a mess. And then we're gonna clean up, zip up, and be done. And then be excited to get it out next year. I have all the various components in here. Now, sometimes you have to, so this is a pre-lit tree, but this extra strand of lights, you know, you might have to undo a few of them, and then next year when I put it together, kind of put them back on, but that's no issue. So there's so much extra space in here, as you can see, that I put in the garlands like this grapevine garland, which is the messiest garland ever, but it looks good. And then I put in these bags of garland because they fit kind of right in the side. And look at this. There's still actually a little bit of room. I could maybe even put these bells. This is me. This is every year me thinking, okay, what else could I fit in and make sure this one is probably too much of a, I don't think this will work. We're not even gonna try. But it pretty much all fits. I mean, look at how nice this does make it. Even if you're just gonna store this in a basement, whatever it is, it works really well because it contains the mess, and you can even move it, you know, or have help moving it where you need to. And then I just usually strap it together. And then this is how, up on the ceiling, out in the garage, on a hook, I just hook it up to the ceiling. Boom. Now, obviously, you have to be careful. I have to get on a ladder, hoist this up. So if you're uncomfortable doing that, make sure you have help, or don't put it up on the ceiling. I understand not everyone could. This is, though, to me, the best part. You're pretty much done. You're gonna put away. And then you pretty much made a mess that you can clean up. Look at all this junk down here from the grapevine garland that I can just now vacuum up, and somehow once the Christmas is put away, do you guys notice? The house grows like 2 times the size. You have all this extra room because it just feels empty. So I will clean all this up. I will take the urn back outside because this has plants in it during the summer. It has a big agave in it that I put in. And one question I know I'm gonna get, because I always get this, how was my tree fitted inside of an antique urn? How do I do that? There's nothing I can tell you to go buy. There's not a piece you can go get. There's not a special urn you can go get. You can get brand new ones at different companies that allow you to put them in. This is an antique urn, and what I did was I had specialty made a cast iron piece that fits into the urn. Let me just show this because I know this will be a question. These pine cones were filling in that dead space. But this is custom made by someone that can weld, and look what it does. Down in the bottom of these antique urns is a hole, and this piece was literally, you can tell, it's kind of abnormal because it is made to fit just in this hole. So when it goes down in there, it affixes and is tight that it cannot move, and it holds the weight of the tree and doesn't let it move. So that's why I can't tell you where to go buy one of these, because they just have to be custom made. So you have to find someone that can do that. And no, I don't have someone that wants to start getting random people asking to do that, because it's time consuming. It's probably not a moneymaker for anyone, but it does work really well if you can find someone. So I will be vacuuming, be cleaning up, but that's how I put this all away. And this was actually the last thing. So now my Christmas is completely put away, other than I just remembered these 2 little ornaments. I'll put a plant back in there, and Christmas will be done until it's already 2022. So in honestly a few months, it seems like this fall, getting towards November, Christmas will start happening again. And it gets it all the more exciting. When you put it away, you know it's gonna come back. So I hope this gives you some ideas of what I do and answer some of the questions that I get as I'm putting things away, because there's a lot of them. As always, you know what? Share this video around. If it doesn't help you, it may help someone else, and that's kind of the fun of it. These all kind of help, and we learn from each other in various ways. Check my website, wiseguy.com, for tips, for tricks, for recipes. If you're in the Christmas post blues like I can be, there's great recipes on there, whether you want lighter eating or just good comfort food, it's all on there. And until next time, I'm gonna go hang this tree up, vacuum, and get it all put back together. That's the best part.